see all of you.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome today to Cooking with Carl and Baking with Becca. As per Shanaz's request last week, we are going to do something au gratin. So we're doing potatoes au gratin today, Shanaz, just for you.
Yeah, French
Thank you
dish.
so much. That's kind of
Ooh
cool.
la la.
We're doing it. It is a French dish. It's based on Julia Child's recipe. So it's going to be super delicious. Carl's showing you something
Look at
here.
this cheese.
Carl's got really cool cheeses.
That one's from France, right?
Yeah.
And what is it? Abondance. How do you say it?
So this cheese is called Abondance.
Yeah, from cow's milk.
Good.
It's a medium-sized mountain cheese from somewhere in France. Ooh, the Alps.
Ooh.
This deep golden cheese has been used in mountain chalets near the border of France and Switzerland. It is made exclusively from the cattle breed Abondance.
Which is yummy.
Yay.
And it's kind of a really umami cheese. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit strong, but it's not strong in a way that you would have like old cheddar cheese. It's kind of strong, but yet still soft and unctuous. So it's really lovely.
And it's, what does it say? Fruity, buttery, and hazelnut flavor with a balance of acidity and sweetness.
It's a very nice cheese, i.e. end of the day, delicious Abondance cheese
It's
right here
pretty
from
mild,
France.
eh?
It's a lovely mild,
Yeah.
but I find it still a little bit strong on my palate cheese.
Mm.
The other cheese that we're using today, which is really cool, is called Golden Blythe cheese. So Golden Blythe is actually a local cheese, and I'm super excited for it because it's from a farm in Blythe, Ontario. So this is Golden Blythe. This is their cheese. This is a goat cheese. So it's got a really nice bite to it, and yet it's still soft and flavorful. Most of the time you think of goat cheese, you think of that like really crumbly kind of feta type texture, but this is not like that at all. This is soft and delicious and really good. This is apparently their famous cheese. So if you are interested and would like to try it, you can actually head over to Global Cheese, which is where we started out, and they stock Golden Blythe and support local because local farmers do need our support right now. And it was super affordable. This piece, so I got this whole piece for about $6, which was a great deal. So totally recommend local cheese.
Who was nibbling out of there? Was it you?
I'm not going to say who that
mouse?
was. That was me. Yeah. Squeak, squeak. Here I go. So let's talk a little bit about our potatoes today. So today we're doing potatoes au gratin. And actually it's based on potatoes dauphinoise, which are different than scallop potatoes. So this is a Julia Child's recipe, type recipe that we found. And we love it because it's simple. It does take some preparation time, but it's something that you can cook ahead and put away. And so if it's really hot during the day, you could do this, say, early morning or even the day before, put it away, and then just do the actual gratin part at the end. So you can pre-bake 3/4 of it and then just take the cover off and put it back in the oven and then bake it for the last 15 minutes. So altogether, cook time for this recipe takes about 1:15.
It's a lot of cooking.
It's a lot of cooking. Carl's right. It's a lot of prep, a lot of cooking, but also a lot of delicious. So it's pretty good.
And the difference I've learned
tell us.
with au gratin and scallop potatoes is just cheese, right? No cheese in scallop potatoes.
Yeah, and I love cheese and Carl loves cheese. And so we took that really cool little field trip to Global Cheese, which is right in the market. Again, a cool place to go. The one thing I will say that's amazing about that shop is that they let you try your cheese.
The samples.
They let you sample it before you take it. So you know, it's you taste it, then you buy it. It's also quite affordable in terms of cheese. I mean, listen, if you're going to the grocery store, you're going to get cheese in a package, and it's going to be a little more expensive because you have to buy this giant chunk of cheese.
Yeah.
When you go to a cheese store, you can actually buy just the exact amount that you need, and it doesn't come to as much money, which makes it more affordable. So it's just in the Kensington market, and I'm sure if there's cheese around where you are, you can find the cheeses as well. But we're always happy to help you look for it if you need any help. I know, but it's cool to try new things. So anyway, here we go. So in your potatoes au gratin today, we need 1 1/2 cups of full cream. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can go lighter if you want to. We're going full fat cream because you know what, friends? We exercise, we work out. It's okay. Also, just enjoy yourself. Even if you don't exercise or work out, who cares?
They have the whipped cream, which is like 35%.
35%. If you really want to be crazy, you can put whipped cream.
That's a bit much.
Yeah, we're not going to go for the whipped cream today. It's
then,
calling for 2 cloves of garlic. Now, Carl, are we going to keep it to 2 cloves of garlic?
I was thinking, let's just add what are these whole things? Bulb.
There's a one whole bowl.
Maybe
Carl
one
loves,
bulb.
yeah, we'll add a bulb for Carl. Carl loves his garlic,
Yeah,
right?
and with potatoes, it's a good pairing.
So 30 grams of unsalted butter again.
We went salted.
We went salted. You know us. We always go umami.
And 30 grams is only 2 tablespoons.
That's
It's
right.
not that much as I thought.
A teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon of pepper. We've got fresh thyme, which is hugely important. So this is
Yeah.
something, if you've got thyme in your garden, that you definitely want to use in your recipe because it brings a real beautiful
that's
flavor to the cream and just to the potatoes themselves. And because it's baking for so long and you're doing this in layers, it totally infuses. Super awesome yum.
And I thought to have some parsley just for the top. Just for
Carl
color.
loves his parsley and I'm
Yeah, it's
into it
fancy,
too.
it's
I love,
fancy.
he is a fancy. We're all about the fanciness now on this
Add
show.
some color. you
Yeah,
know?
MacGyver and fancy is what we are.
And that's
And then you can add 2.5 cups of your chosen cheese. So they're calling for Gruyere. We actually are doing a mix today. So we're doing a mix of the Abondance. And then we're saving our Golden Blythe for the top for a little bite.
and a bit of, I went Tex-Mex. I get the pre-shredded. I just like the spices that are in here. It's not too strong.
Yeah,
We'll
so
see.
we'll
see. I
use
hope
a
I don't
little bit,
overpower
yeah.
it, yeah.
Well, what we might do is because I didn't realize this is spice cheese, we might not use it actually, Carl. And I love you, but we might not use it.
Not even one layer.
Not even one
just a
layer because
tiny-
it'll overtake the time. It'll overtake the time.
One corner. We're gonna add just tons of Tex-Mex.
Did you see it disappear from the screen? Because I didn't realize that was Tex-Mex. I thought it was just grated
I shouldn't
cheese.
have said anything.
Oh, you shouldn't have said anything.
So I was.
Sorry, Carl.
And then how many potatoes?
All right, so right now you need 2.5 pounds of potatoes. Now, certainly Carl
Yeah.
has already gone ahead and
I
started
cut a
slicing,
few.
which is important because the slicing of the potatoes is key on this recipe.
How
So
thin?
Carl,
No, I went, can you guys see that?
yeah, I think you can see. So
Pretty
usually
thin.
really thin. This recipe calls for a mandolin and they like you to slice the mandolin pretty, like they want the potatoes pretty paper thin as possible. Now, Carl is a deft touch with a big knife. So I said, go ahead, Carl, because earlier I was saying we should just pre-slice these because for me, when I'm cutting potatoes really finely, which I do, it takes me a long time, but Carl is actually quite fast at it. So I'm glad he decided to do it on camera so you can actually see the thickness.
I'm gonna get
It's super
started
smart.
peeling. but,
Yeah. So 2.5 pounds. Now the potatoes are important. You want russet potatoes.
Starchy, right?
Starchy potatoes. You can use Yukon Gold as well, but russet are good. They're also on sale all the time at the grocery
Yeah,
store.
they weren't much.
No way. So I mean, overall, this recipe came to under $30, which is
The fancy cheese was
the
where we
fancy cheese was where
splurged.
we splurged.
Yeah.
But you don't have to use fancy cheese. You can use straight up low-key cheese and it'll work just fine.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be delicious. So we're gonna actually go ahead and get started. As you can see, Carl is getting ahead on these beautiful potatoes. Does anybody have any tips for peeling potatoes?
Boy, this is hard. I wonder if there was a hot tip somebody could tell me about.
There is a hot tip right now. So welcome to your hot tip. We're gonna take you on over. Carl, I'm gonna ask you to come off your peeling and
Oh,
come
this
over
is
here
so
for the hot tip.
frustrating. I wonder
I'm
if there's
sure.
an easier way.
I can tell you that there is an easier way, sir. So follow me here to this area over here.
What do
So
you got here?
So come on over here. I have a bowl of ice. So there's 2 things you need for our hot tip today. The first thing is a bowl of pre-prepared ice, and then you've already boiled your potatoes. So if you want to peel a potato without needing to use your thing, what you do is you throw it in some hot water. Well, don't throw it because then you'll burn yourself. Place it carefully into some boiling water.
How long has that been in there?
So this has been in here for about 20 minutes. It's a big potato.
Yeah.
It's still, it's not quite done yet, but it
Yeah.
might be done soon. I think the skin will still come off though for our purposes here.
Oh.
So I'll show you. So
Good.
what we're gonna need to do is once you've boiled your potato and it's thoroughly cooked, you're gonna take it out and you're gonna put it into some ice water. So we're gonna
Just
take
drop
it
it
out
in?
here. Yep, you're gonna take it out
Careful.
carefully and put it in. Oh, yeah, don't put the hot water
Why
in.
don't you poke it?
There we go.
Okay.
And into the ice water bath. So once it's in the ice water bath, you want it in there just enough for it to cool off, enough for you to touch it. So it's in that ice water bath.
Yeah.
Taking a minute here. Feels pretty good. So I'm gonna pull it out and then I'm gonna
Look at that. Look at that.
take the skin off. So here comes the skin right off of your potato. And that's it. You've peeled your potato. So if it gets too hot in the meantime, you can certainly continue to put it back into there because it's
That's
still
it.
hot inside.
Yeah.
And then continue to peel. And that's it. Your skin's off your potato. And if you need to reheat your potato afterwards, you can just place it back into the boiling water for a minute or two. and your potato is peeled.
Good tip. Now, does that
Hot
affect slicing? Hot potato.
So this, I mean, listen, if you want to slice it, I would just keep it in the cool water a little bit longer and slice it carefully. This
Yeah.
would be more for mashed potatoes, I would say. I'll be real with you.
But it's a great way to get a bunch of skins off.
But
right?
an awesome way to do it, and a way to do it super, super fast. So that's your hot tip for the week.
Oh, good one. I like it.
Has anyone tried that before?
Super tips.
Ah,
Super.
thanks, Stella. Amazing. All right, so let's get going on to our cream here. Carl, I think I'm gonna start with my 1.5
Sure.
cups of cream here.
Let's adjust our.
Sure thing. All right, so in it goes. So first thing I want is 1.5 cups. So I'm taking a quick look here. I've got my giant Pyrex dish. The reason why I'm using this is because I'm actually just gonna keep it in here and then pour it over the potatoes after to save myself time. So that's another tip. If you can make it right in something you can pour, that works out really well.
That's a good size. What
It
that?
is.
4 cups.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is 4 cups. Now I'm going for 1.5 cups cream here. I might go a little bit over because the thing is I like quite a creamy potato, but we'll see. So I've got my 1.5 cups of 18% cream. Again, like Carl said, if you like more full fat, you go for whatever kind of cream you want.
Yeah, treat yourself, right?
Treat yourself. I love it. So I'm gonna set that aside. Next thing I'm gonna do is actually pull up one of these. So I'm gonna start
Alright.
chopping my garlic here.
Okay. You need
So-
another huge knife?
I got another huge knife.
Hey.
Look at us, we match. On guard. No, I'm kidding. We won't do that. I promise. All right, so here we go. So I'm actually opening up the garlic. Is anybody growing garlic this year in their gardens? No?
Is it a tricky plant?
I don't find it too tricky. It
I
grows.
mean, it
under-
grows by
yeah,
itself
it
in their
grows-
fridge. even,
Yeah, it grows underground, right? It's kind of like a potato. It's really interesting the way that it grows.
I just wouldn't know when to harvest. How do you check a bulb,
Yeah,
underground?
well, that's it. You just kind of have to feel it out. It's like a potato.
And you use any of the above ground parts?
I guess you can. Does anybody use the above ground parts of garlic? I haven't.
I wonder
But
if
maybe
it's
you
spicy.
can. I should look into that. You know what we're growing in our garden this year outside, which we will show you one day when we start using it, when it's kind of taken off a little more. We're growing nasturtiums. Those are awesome for
That's
salads.
edible, right?
Totally edible. Yeah,
Is that a
nasturtiums.
edible flower?
It's an edible flower and an edible leaf. I love
Oh, the
nasturtiums.
pepper leaf.
The pepper leaf plant.
The peppery.
It is. It's super yum.
Speaking of peppery, we got jalapenos in there.
Ooh, for Carl, naturally.
And, what else? A couple of interesting tomatoes.
How's your mom's garden doing?
It's good.
Yeah?
I get kale whenever I visit. They got lettuce and kale for days.
Amazing.
It's good.
Do they grow cucumbers? I love cucumbers.
She mentioned it. I don't know.
Is anybody here growing cucumbers this year? Love a good cucumber.
No.
No? No, I wish. I love cucumbers so good. Oh, here we go. So we've got 4 aside here. I'm gonna do 6 for you, Carl. Is 6 enough?
I think that's plenty.
You think that's plenty of garlic for you?
You don't use the crush, eh? You like to.
I will crush. I like to oh yeah, you know what?
That's
Yeah,
that's my tip, but I use that already.
that's okay. You
We're
can
gonna need
certainly,
some new tips.
we're gonna need more tips all the time, but that's what it's all about, is learning hot tips. Here we go. All right, so we've got our garlic here. Now that it's here, like Carl said, it's really smart. You can actually just crush and pull. It's a lot faster. For some reason, I'm very finicky and I like to pick off my pieces. Now, what I'm going to do before I chop, as always, and which I could have already accomplished, is crush with the heel of my hand and the knife. You can actually just crush with the heel of your hand as well.
Here.
I know, you're absolutely right. So I'm just going to go ahead and release all of that yumminess out of there. It's kind of like crushing an herb, right?
Smell it.
You can already smell it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rough chop this pretty small. Now, I know that if I had my garlic, do we still have that weird thing that we used one time, that garlic?
Yeah. It's right up on top of the microwave.
Is it on top of the microwave?
One of the pieces was loose.
Okay.
And,
So I mean, I can dice this up, or I can use this really cool device that I got off of, well, I did get it off of Amazon. Here we go. So we're going to put it in and just chop this up much finer.
it's like a little
So
grinder, eh?
you can see it is a little grinder. So I'm going to go ahead and just like kind of chop this in here. So I'll just chop this into smaller pieces. This was on Amazon.
Some
Super
interesting. I mean,
inexpensive.
when you look at kitchen stuff,
Yeah,
you can go crazy. There's
you
a tool
can.
for every task, stuff that you kind of don't need.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, I use a lot of garlic. I can see that being handy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take the end off.
You ever
this.
use one of those old, those coffee grinders you can push down? You know
Oh,
those ones you go bzz, bzz, bzz.
yeah.
But I've heard people using those to grind up spices and, turn salt into powder, like
Oh, neat.
kosher salt.
Yeah. That's very cool. I love grinding spices. It's really a great way to do it. Grounding and toasting spices. I know for a lot of cultures, toasting the spices is key to release the oils of the spices. Yeah. So again, I'm just going back and forth. That's looking good. Oh my gosh, what's going on in here? We've got some real wildlife in here today. Gotta make sure this area stays totally clean.
That probably really likes garlic.
Yeah, well, put out some vinegar so it gets lost.
Oh,
Here we go. That's
super
yeah,
thin. You can
super thin.
see right through it.
What's your tip to cutting it super thin, Carl? If you don't have a mandolin at home, do people have mandolins?
That's a good tool.
Yeah, it is.
The one you kind of rub it down.
Yeah, you certainly stay there and back and forth like
So
this.
I'm just careful. Like I'll find the edge and then just kind of, instead of pushing straight down, I don't know if it matters, but I push forward a bit.
Okay,
I mean, you just want to watch your fingers, right?
absolutely. Just
Getting
really
to the
taking your
end is a
time.
bit tricky, but so you don't want to go super thick.
So I don't want to go super thick at all. What's really key with a good dauphinoise, and what I've read about it, is that the potatoes need to be very, very finely cut. And that's just to make sure that it cooks evenly.
Mhm.
So you want things to be pretty uniform. Like you wouldn't want to have a super thick slice of potato and then a super fine slice of
There's a
potato.
couple. We'll see how we do it.
That's okay. You can always pull them out when you cut them. Tricky, but it still works. All right, so here we go. Here we are. So you can see that my garlic is done here too. So I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna take another fine chop over the top of it here.
You don't need this water.
No, I don't. I'm sorry I left it on, Carl. Leave it to me to leave stuff running. Here we go.
Pull that out.
So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna chop this up just a bit more, and then I'll show you like about the fineness that you want. That's about the fine dice that you want in the garlic. It doesn't have to be super fine. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and put it in. So I'm putting it right in now. So you can see, here we go. I've put the garlic right into the cream because I wanted to start kind of infusing in the cream as soon as possible. So, oh my goodness,
Flying.
we're gonna have to cut that out.
Ruining our show here.
Oh,
He
boy.
wants in.
He wants in, but you're not a star, Mr. Fly.
Frying
All right,
fly.
so here we go. All right, out it goes in there. So now I've got the garlic in the cream, okay? So once it's fully in the cream,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and add the butter. So the next thing I need to do is add a bit of butter. So 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We're gonna use salted. I am
Are
gonna
you gonna
melt
heat
this
it?
butter. Yeah,
Or
I'm
what?
100% gonna melt the butter because that's important.
I left it out, but our fridge is so cold.
Our food is cold, hey, and it's not easy to navigate. So again, I'm using these great teaspoons for butter. You do you. If you can eyeball how many tablespoons or a tablespoon, that's amazing. And
It's
a lot of
tablespoon.
food
Is it actually
cooks
no?
can.
Is it actually a tablespoon?
It's
You
2
know how stuff-
tablespoons. Oh, I
but
know.
You know what I mean? Is it a
Yeah.
real spoon's worth? You can get soup spoon.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I mean, you can't go wrong with butter.
I have to say, I always err on the edge of a little bit more than a little bit less with butter.
Yeah.
Now, in some recipes, like pastry recipes, you want to be real careful
Baking,
about that.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. But because we're cooking, it doesn't really matter. I am gonna grab this.
What's that?
So here we are. That's just to put the butter in. So here's 1 tablespoon,
Okay.
and then I need 2. So in I go, digging for gold here, as per usual. Getting it right in.
So
2.
this would be a filling meal, eh? When we're done.
Oh, it'll be
Yeah.
pretty filling.
What kind of stuff would you eat on the side? Would you
so
have
you
a
would-
veggie?
Yeah, you could have a veggie with it, but you would usually do it with some sort of main course. So if you're doing a vegetarian main course, you could do it with like a goulash or like some sort of like tofu or something like that. If you were
Yeah.
going for a meat main course, you could do it with probably like a roast or a chicken, something delicious. It basically just adds like a good like carby,
Yeah, and
fatty
You know,
taste to the meal.
with the rosemary, that would be good pairing with chicken. Right?
With the thyme, for sure, I agree.
Or yeah, time.
Yeah, rosemary's still good. We could have used rosemary.
Yeah.
Thyme is just a totally different flavor that's really delicious. All right, so now the next thing we're gonna do, sorry, my darling. So the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull this out of the way, clean up the kitchen, messy mind. It's true.
I just clean as I go.
Yeah, and I just make a hot mess and leave it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, here we go.
Okay, your butter's popping.
Oh, is it popping? Yep, pull that popping out of there. We don't want it to cook yet. So pull that out. The butter's popped. So you can see that the butter's now come together. I'll get a little fork and just stir that up in just a second. There we go.
Let's see. Okay, it's hard to show both of them.
It is hard to show. Okay, so here we go. So you can see that the butter now is there. So I'm gonna let it just finish and then I'll pour it into the cream. So you can see what I'm doing here. So again, in goes that. There we go. And you can immediately see that we've mixed it all
That
together.
is a rich soup.
That is
you
a
know?
super duper rich soup, a garlicky, rich, delicious soup. So once that's done,
And I'm guessing most of the potatoes absorb that, right?
that's right. So it goes over the top of the potato. So if we need to add more, we know what goes inside of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get this out of the way. The next thing we need to do is actually start to prepare the pan. So you want basically like one, I guess about that deep.
So
Let
ours,
me just, how deep is ours?
well, here's the
Carl?
thing, we got a choice. We have wide and thin.
Yeah,
Or tall and short, and I figure we just don't build it up too high.
we're not gonna build it up too high. So just
that there ain't-
a couple of inches. What I am gonna do is take a little butter and spread it in the bottom and then
Okay.
put some onion.
Holy potatoes.
Yeah, holy potatoes. That man. Okay, here we go. So we've got an onion in the fridge, and a trick to
Yeah.
this is, sorry,
You
sir.
want me to cut it? Okay.
Yeah, well, I can just, I'll just cut it in. If you want to cut it, go ahead.
Half?
Yeah, just half. I just need a half. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of butter, which is pretty softened. There we go, throw that in. You take your onion and then you just rub it on
What
the
does
inside
that
of the
do?
dish. Basically, it just gives the flavor of the onion in the bottom. So I like to do that in some of my dishes. I know it's a little, sounds kind of funny, but it actually brings a really cool
Interesting.
flavor to the dish.
Some of these recipes called for adding sliced onion into your layers. We're
Yeah,
not gonna do that.
no, that's more of a gratin, or that's more of a scallop
Scallop
potato.
potatoes, yeah.
And we're doing a gratin today. So we're relying
We're
more
keeping
heavily,
it traditional.
yeah, we're keeping it traditional and relying more heavily on garlic than anything else. But I always like to do this to the bottom of my pan, just to give a little bit of extra vavoom, as you say. Here we are.
We're going fancy.
We're
eh?
going fancy dancy today. And there we go. So that's fully in there. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, pop that up and then you can see the
So is
inside
that
of the
butter or
pan.
just, oh, you did.
That's, I did butter and a little bit of onion.
Okay.
All right, so while Carl is still slicing potatoes, I'm actually gonna start to take them and layer them. So can you see the inside of the pan?
Yep.
Great.
Let's do that.
So it's, what is really important is when you're using the layers is that you're overlapping the layers. So I'm gonna start by laying and then you're gonna see me start to overlap. So I have to
Next.
also make sure that I'm not overlapping multiple potatoes at a time because Carl has cut them so thin.
Rebecca,
Yes.
you are not adding any onion, no?
No, we don't add onion to this one because it's a dauphinoise and not a gratin. Or not a, I keep calling it, it is a gratin. It's a dauphinoise and not a scallop potato recipe.
Yeah, I've always had it with just tons of onion and that's, but usually scallop, right?
Yeah.
And it's something about being less creamy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a little bit different than the traditional scallop potatoes. So
Mm.
we don't
I
add,
usually use onion on the bottom of the gratin.
yes.
Interesting. right?
Interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is French cuisine, right?
Yeah.
Fancy.
So very nice.
Okay, so-
Everybody's got their own take. How often do you make this, Shanaz?
I make maybe once a month.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got these older potatoes. I cut some earlier just to save time. They're starting to change color a bit,
That's okay.
but it's okay.
We're gonna use them.
It'll be beautiful.
It'll still be great in the end.
Pretty thin.
They are
That's
very,
good,
very
that's
thin.
good. Didn't take as long as I thought either.
No, Carl cut them pretty fast. Shanaz, how do you cut your potatoes? Do you usually cut them by hand?
Yes, by hand. The same as Carol did.
It's
Same
Yeah.
relaxing, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice
I
thing.
like it. Oh, what were we gonna do with this old potato?
Oh, well, we can eat that. later.
But
We can eat it.
not that much
I would have.
tea.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? Like everybody does it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So we've actually had our oven preheating now.
Temperature.
So our oven has been preheating at 350. So it's up to temp now. And all we have to do now is the easy work, which is we want to layer in about a third of the potatoes here. So what's really important as we're layering up the potatoes is that they're pretty evenly layered. So if I've got two small ones, I put them next to each other. If I've got a big one, I'm laying a big one next to it.
So should I grate some cheese?
You can start grating cheese for
Okay.
sure, Carl. That's a great
The
suggestion.
bigger one. The
So
French.
yeah, let's grate the abondance. So we're gonna grate the
Ooh.
French cheese now.
Okay.
So we're gonna start our layers. So 1/3 versus the whole thing. So every third layer, we're gonna add a little bit more cream and a little bit more cheese and salt and pepper and thyme.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. We're not yet at a third of the potatoes.
So I'm cutting off the rind.
Yes.
From the cheese.
And why do we do that, Carl?
Well, I don't know. I always ate it, to be honest, but I learned today that you should.
Yeah, often I don't use the rind because, you know, everybody's handling the rind. It's also got a kind of bitter flavor that I don't enjoy, but if you like the rind, I mean, that's up to you. If it's clean, if you cleaned it,
This is a good cheese.
that's a great
So
cheese.
no Tex-Mex, hey?
No
Oh,
Tex-Mex.
come
No
on.
way, Jose.
All
No,
right,
no.
way, Jose.
No way, not with time.
And you want the small, tiny grate? or
Yeah,
the bigger size?
I would like a smaller grate if that's possible. That would be awesome. So Carl, how is that feeling in your
It's
hands?
soft cheese. Let's see how this grates.
Tell me how it works for you.
I hope we have enough cheese.
I think we will. Oh, we'll totally have
Yeah?
enough. Yeah, I wouldn't worry. All right, and I'm still layering up, and this is where it gets relaxing, friends. So this is where you want to like spend time chatting on the phone or doing a trivia with someone.
Put your stories on.
Yeah,
or something.
do it while you're doing something else, because you can see, like with the prep work, then you're just putting it all together and getting it all in. All right, so I'm gonna do a layer this way now.
I'm gonna sneak some Tex-Mex cheese in there.
No way,
Yeah.
no way. There's
Okay,
not
well,
going any Tex-Mex in here. I care about you as a human, but I'm not gonna let you, because this one, the problem is that all of the cheeses are so mild, and
Yeah.
when you're already using thyme, if you start to mix
Well, so
Tex-Mex.
when is that time gonna go?
So the thyme goes in on every layer.
Every
So
layer.
that's the flavor we want to focus on, because otherwise we'll start taking away from the beauty of the cheese.
So I've got a lot grated for you.
Yeah, you're
And
amazing.
then what was that trick we saw with the
So
time?
why don't you show
Oh,
them the trick with
yeah,
the
yeah,
thyme, Carl? Get on the camera here so you can show them
So,
while I'm layering
They
up.
had it, you know, the little sprigs. Right? Like this is what we did when we were kids. You just rub you pull your finger down. Well, it's not coming off as nice as I want. But you pull your finger along it and the little bits come off that you want. What are they called?
They're just called little leaves.
Little bits.
Perfect. And the thyme leaves are right on there. Doing a great job. All right, so I'm almost up with my first layer here, I think. That should be a good first layer.
What a good smell, eh?
So it's a great smell. Carl, if you want to actually go crazy, you can add a lot more
A
thyme
lot
than
more?
that. Yeah,
Okay.
so Carl's gonna add in the
I'm
thyme.
not sure, 'cause it's such a strong scent, right?
Trust me, it's gonna be
It's
good.
okay. You
Yeah,
can't
that's
go-
why we can't add the Tex-Mex. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here.
Oh, my favorite cheese.
I'm so sorry. You can use it for something else, I promise.
Let's be fancy.
Yeah, so fancy people today. So we're gonna go ahead. There's my first layer
Oh, this looks great.
of the cream. I want to make sure that that gets through in there fully. Beautiful. So you can see that this is the first layer, and then Carl, once you're done with that, we can add some abondance as well.
Okay, so
you can keep
let's
going
trade.
with the time down.
Here's some cheese.
Okay, I'll add the cheese.
It's all in the middle.
All right, here we go. And we're gonna go ahead and add a layer of abondance cheese as well.
Oh, look at this.
So maybe a bit more time over here before I add the cheese in that layer.
Okay.
And here's our beautiful cheese going over the top.
This is not as easy as it looked on YouTube. They're
And
just
yet,
pulling and they all came off and it was just, you're just left with a stick, but I'm not having that kind of luck. These are like almost dry. Fresh is like good fine, but
fresh is great. You
not
know what?
super fresh.
You know what, though? You're doing a great job, and it's nice to have, can I have a little bit over here, my dear?
The next best would be just growing your own. right?
Yeah, it would be growing your own in your own garden, which is what we are doing right now.
Well, we planted when it dried right up though. What
The
was it?
rosemary
Yeah,
dried up,
rosemary. I don't know. Too much sun. It was out on that 38-degree day,
Yeah,
and the next day it was just dried. I don't know. It said full sun, but it was a little too much sun, hey?
so now we're adding salt and pepper.
Yeah.
We're not going too heavy on it, but we're adding enough. Pepper, a little bit of salt. I'm being cautious because honestly, depending on what your diet is, you don't want to add too much salt or pepper, especially with the taste of the
Yeah,
cheese, right?
we got salt in the cheese. We got goat cheese. We have salt from what else? Oh, it's good.
Oh, it smells so
Oh,
delicious.
Our butter as
Oh,
well, right?
butter.
So we're kind of
Yeah.
keeping track of how much salt to add.
So that's layer one complete. Here we go with layer
Look
two.
at this.
It's gonna be beautiful.
So how many layers do you think?
So there's 3 layers of this,
Three.
Carl.
Okay, I think I
So-
might have asked you.
You did, but it doesn't matter.
In one ear, out the other.
Story of my life. It sounds like a familiar refrain from me, Carl. So don't worry. Would you mind grating some more cheese?
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of these.
Yeah,
dark
please
potato
do. Yeah,
bits.
we don't need the little bit big ones.
I like using most of what you can, but
Yeah, we'll get rid of this bit
let's
too.
cheese it up.
There we go. Carl is cheesing it up while I'm adding a secondary layer here. So this is actually going to be a very rich and a very delicious dish.
I love it.
I can already see Carl
Oh my
smiling. He's
gosh.
going to thank me for the Tex-Mex. He's going to thank me for not adding that later. Trust
Well,
me.
You know what that means? We gotta do something Tex-Mex
Yeah,
down
next
the road.
week. Why don't we do it next
No
week?
more
And then we-
bacon.
Oh, we can bake. We can do Tex-Mex
Mm,
baking.
no, that's odd.
Maybe not with the cheese.
Well, you could do cheese biscuits.
Oh
with
yeah,
something
Carl, if you'd
else.
like to, I will make you cheese
Let's
biscuits
think- let's
anytime.
think as we-
Yeah,
as we
friends, if
go
you
here.
have suggestions for next week, let us know. Think about it now and get back to us at the end so that we know what you would like to see next week,
Yeah.
so that we can make sure that we fulfill that. Shanaz, how are you doing so far? What do you think?
How are we doing?
Yes, exactly.
You are doing awesome.
Oh, good,
Okay,
good,
that's
good,
the
good,
best. You're the professional with this, gratin, so we need
You
your
know- As I'm on diet and I usually eat very healthy food, so I don't use those kind of cheese or cream,
Pretty rich,
Uh,
right?
What kind of
I-
things do you use?
I usually use pizza mozzarella,
That's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
cracker butter.
Do you
I
get,
like that.
do you get the mozzarella? Is it like the wet one or is it the dry block?
The dry.
Yeah.
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yours is, it seems very yummy and delicious.
Ours
Very
is
rich.
like less than once a month. Ours is like maybe once every 3 months you indulge.
Yeah.
You know what? It's okay to give yourself a treat, you know? And I feel like given that what's going on right now, things are loosening up. We're starting to be able to go to the markets again and enjoy ourselves again. That it's really important that we give ourselves that little treat time too. So Shanaz, I love using the Cracker Barrel cheeses. I do.
Yeah.
They're really good cheeses. I like their marble cheese.
Marbles are good
Marble's a great.
for cooking, you know, and like all-purpose cheese.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's getting expensive though, I noticed.
Oh, cheese is
Some of those
always,
cheese
yeah.
blocks.
Yeah, I go look for the sales. What I
Oh, is it
usually
too
do,
soon? Sorry.
it's okay. You can add some in now. It doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with it everywhere.
So you're saying look for sales?
I look for sales because I usually buy it and like when it's on sale for $5, I'll buy 3 and put 2 in the freezer. I know you're not supposed to freeze cheese, but
Can you?
I do. I
Oh.
do it all the time.
Maybe
It's a little crumbly,
What
but
I've been doing is freezing my bread, which I never did, and I just don't go through it fast. you know?
yeah, fair
I
enough.
didn't know about cheese. That's a good tip.
Now, cheese does, the texture of the cheese will always get crumbly
Yeah.
once it comes out of the freezer. So you want to use it in like a baking or a cooking way if you're going to freeze your cheese. But
You know,
yeah,
in
What's
Metro, Cracker Barrel is usually $8, but when it goes on the sale, it becomes half.
yeah,
$4.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I should look into that then. So we've got our second layer in there now.
Okay,
Everybody
let's
can
do a
see the
little bit
second
more
layer.
rosemary. Let's get a good zoom pitch.
Yeah, so he's gonna get a zoomed in shot. He started to add the thyme in there. I'm gonna give another little mix with my garlic. So some of my garlic has to get on this layer because
Oh.
the garlic didn't all get in the last layer as much. So we're gonna put the garlic in the middle layer more and then push some down to the lower layer. I'm gonna help it along a little bit. I'm just gonna, there we
I think
go.
this was the perfect pan size, hey?
You did a great job with pan size, Carl. I'm really impressed.
It's hard here. We
Yeah.
just have the two.
Yeah, so,
Really huge or small?
or small, right? So I am gonna go ahead and put some down the cracks there because we didn't get, I noticed, a lot of garlic in the first layer, but the garlic will be in the second
It'll get
layer.
around.
It'll get around. Carl loves his garlic, so I need to make sure it's in here. And here we are. So I'm gonna just, little
Let me know
more
if I'm getting
here.
too in your face.
no, you're doing great. We need as much time as possible
Yeah.
because remember, it's
It's the
gonna be the prep and the dominant flavor,
We won't be
right?
able to show this after, but I've been putting them into the YouTubes and, putting a little introduction with a picture of the final product.
So that everyone can,
Good.
it is there if you wanna check it out later on.
Sure.
We're all on YouTube now, and this is also very good, because I know a few of you have said that you like to cook along, and it's good so you can stop
You
and
can
restart
pause
it.
it, and
Yeah.
I made the ingredients list stay on the screen for a while. Like, I'm trying to think about if someone were to watch it,
Yeah.
on their own and not live.
Here we are.
It's
So
been fun. I like it,
Yeah.
but it's not as fun as having people here and cooking together.
can't wait for
Yeah.
that to be a thing again, which I think we're headed towards soon, friends, which is really
Fingers
exciting.
crossed.
Has anybody been able to get a haircut this week or anything like that?
I did.
Carl, did you cut your own or did you go
I cut my own hair. Are
naturally?
they open though? They are? The salons and whatnot?
Yeah, they are. They're taking
Oh.
appointments. Has anybody had any luck in getting an appointment?
Not yet.
No,
I
me
think it's
neither.
harder to get your haircut than it is to get your vaccine.
Yeah, I think it is right now too. We'll get a little more in this section if you're okay with that. So it's looking good again. We've got that secondary layer on, which is really important. Got it all the way through. It's looking really delicious.
I'm worried it's too much, is this time again?
It's not
I
too
keep
much
mixing it
time.
up.
You're
You
doing such a
sure?
good job. I promise it's
All right.
not. I promise you're gonna love it, Carl.
Because flavors do,
Yeah,
get milder.
do
as you
develop.
bake 'em. Or mix and mingle. right?
yeah, they mix and mingle, so.
Is it, what kind of time is it? Because I know you can get chocolate time or lemon time.
Yeah, I saw they had crazy ones. I think I just went for regular,
Yeah, it's straight up time.
one bunch time. It's just like, I think it was like $1.20. It's fresh-ish. I mean, it's probably been sitting there for a couple of weeks, but I've never had it that way.
I'll tell you what though, Carl, like I think it looks great and I think you picked a really good time.
And are they stronger when they dry, right? So in
They-
theory, this would be weaker.
Well,
but
honestly,
a
I
perfect
feel,
amount of
yeah, it was
cheese.
the perfect amount of cheese. I feel like, I'll be real with you, I feel like fresh thyme is, I feel like fresh herbs and spices, if you can get them, are always a great way to go, because I like the flavor of them.
Yeah.
That being said, dry spices are amazing too. So it's just whatever you can get your hands on is what works.
Whatever you use a lot of, I guess, too, right? Or-
That's exactly right.
Let me give
And
this
is
a
that it
rinse.
for the, yeah, that was the perfect, so that was all of the abondance cheese, which is
Perfect amount,
the
yeah.
perfect amount, as Carl said, of cheese. He did a great job, really eyeing it and paying attention.
You need the other one grated?
You know what? Yes, we will. And so you might as well grate and show them how it grates there.
Sure.
That's a great thing, Carl. Ha, great.
Great, nice.
Yeah. Say it Scottish way. Great.
I can't do that.
That's the only thing I can say in Scottish accent. Everything else is terrible. I'm really bad at accents. I wish I was talented. You see some actors and they can just do anything. Can anybody on this call do an accent? That's a long dead silence there. Nobody wants to do that one. What's that? Here we go. Okay. So you can see again, now I'm just layering up the last layer. So with this last layer, what we do is we put it in and we bake it. And we're gonna be baking this for about,
Oh,
I would say about 45 minutes. So we're gonna bake it for 45 minutes before we add the remainder of the cheese.
So you bake, you pull it out, and you add more cheese.
Yeah, you gratin it at the end. So
Does
gratin,
it just mean cheese?
it just means you're cooking the cheese on the top. So you're browning the cheese on the
The
top. The
best kind
gratin.
of cheese,
Yeah.
Those
So
are my special ingredient, my
yeah, that's
parsley.
for your
Let me
end.
keep grating. So this cheese,
Yeah.
we're not gonna use just yet.
No, we're gonna use that at the very, very end.
And I'll cut the rind off, I guess, there
Yes,
as well.
please do. Of the
So
golden.
what kind of cheese is that?
So this was the goat.
Sorry, what was that?
Kind of
What
cheese.
kind of cheese is that?
Oh, sorry.
You knew better. This was the goat cheese.
It was
right?
called Golden Blythe. It's the majority of the Blythe farm cheese are sheep's milk, but this is their only goat's milk. So it's a goat's milk cheese. It's really mild.
It's not crumbly like I usually
And it's
think
not
of
crumbly.
goat's milk. Yeah.
No, it's definitely not crumbly. It's actually quite light and really, really nice, really delicious. So if you Google Blythe Farms, it'll come up and it's called the Golden Blythe.
BLYTH.
THE. Yeah.
Interesting. You picked some good ones. I think.
Yeah. Well, so did you.
Interesting cheeses.
Yeah.
I like going into that cheese store, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing or
Oh,
what
nobody.
kind goes with what.
I'm adventurous and I'll eat almost
You are.
anything. So
And you're very friendly too.
they're
eh?
lovely in that store.
Yeah, in the beginning of the YouTube video, we recorded some footage of all the wild cheeses they had.
Yeah. They have some really beautiful, a really wild array of wild. You'll have to cut that. It's not
Yeah,
a wild
it's
array.
wild
It's a
cheese.
wide array of cheeses. Yes, if you see these cheeses in the wild in their natural habitats, you will find that they are very hard to catch. No,
I
no.
think they've been around for a while, that store, Global Cheese or whatever.
Yeah, global cheese.
It's like a hotspot in the Kensington.
It's a
market.
really lovely, lovely spot. So these ones are a little bit thicker. I think I'll leave off the thickest pieces. I'll just get the thin pieces on the top and I think we're good to go, Carl.
It's kicking a fly.
So now we need a bit more of this. So while Carl is grating the cheese for later, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna
Oh.
put this down here. So here we go.
You know what? We had a great amount of both potatoes and cheese somehow.
We
Yeah, we're
did,
getting better.
we
But
did.
knowing what to buy, I always overbuy or
Yeah. Oh,
I don't
no.
make too much usually, but
He really
well,
eyeballed
with
it.
my own cooking, I'll buy too much of one thing.
Yeah.
Or I shop when I'm hungry, which
Ha.
is the worst thing you can do.
I'm also in a really bad habit of shopping when I'm hungry and then you just end up with way too much
Oh.
stuff that you don't need.
It's just bags of Doritos and terrible things.
Oh, boy.
And ice cream.
Yep. I think
Ah,
last night I went out for a Smarties ice cream. I really shouldn't have.
Oh, well, he runs enough. Like the thing is, if you balance it out, as long as you're not doing it every single night, you're okay.
I was just digging around for Smarties only. You don't even want to eat the ice cream.
There was an ice cream that used to make called Fudge Crackle. I don't know if anybody ever tried that stuff, but I used to get it and just eat the crackle. Oh, it was so good. Oh, I miss that ice cream. I
I'm getting
like
hungry.
controversial ice creams,
You
though.
know-
I like things like Tiger Tail.
How hard is it to make your own ice cream? Is this something we could even do?
Yeah, we could totally do it.
Yeah?
I have an ice cream maker and I make it at
Do you
home with
need a
my daughter.
machine or like what?
Well, I use a machine. You can get a ball and kick it around on the floor if you want. There's lots of
Oh.
ways. Yeah, you can. You can actually, you do need a churner. You need a churner, which
The
I've got
old
at my
school.
house.
You have a butter churner?
I don't have a butter churner. I have an ice cream churner.
Okay, I was picturing that big wooden
Oh, God.
thing.
Me in my apartment with my butter churner. Now, listen,
Hey,
when
who
I was a
knows?
kid, we had a churner. We did have a butter churner,
Whatever
but
floats
not
your
now.
boat.
I actually quite enjoyed it. It's a lot of work,
I
though.
bet it is,
Back in the
yeah.
day, like I can imagine, did anybody ever make their own butter? Because that's a task and a half.
They just churn and churn.
Churn and churn, then you get it, and then you have to wrap it up and press it. And then if you want it salted, you salt it. Usually in those days, you would salt it because there wasn't a lot of refrigeration, right? So it would go down in the
Yeah.
cellar and
Oh, interesting. I'd like to make our own ice cream. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll keep it as an idea.
yeah, if anybody has suggestions for ice cream flavors, we are in like Flynn.
Could be-
Always.
I could be the
It'd be
guinea
great
pig,
if we could
yeah.
all just meet outside and then we hand out the ice cream samples at a very appropriate distance. Uh,
Well,
Here we-
this last week, maple has been the word, right?
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
How we doing?
We're doing good. I
So
think
you
that's.
poured everything or are you gonna pour again?
I'm gonna pour the last bit on the top here. So what I'm gonna do is I
Bit
didn't
of
salt and
pepper.
pepper the middle layer because we didn't want to overdo. But I am gonna salt and pepper these layers.
Yep.
Here we go. So this should get enough to be through. There, all right. Beautiful. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pour the rest of this in here with the rest of the garlic. So I'm just gonna make sure I get kind of an even spread here. As much as humanly possible. I'm trying to get the whole thing. So just making sure that it's mostly covered here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and just spread this garlic out a bit. Carl's garlic.
How much we got in there?
Uh,
One whole bowl?
yeah, pretty much close to a whole bowl. I put 6 in there for you,
That's how
Carl.
you do it.
Yeah, of course.
Holy moly.
That's his favorite. That is my accession for the concession because we didn't use the Tex-Mex cheese. We put more garlic.
Deal. I'll
Deal.
take it.
Yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
it.
That's my accession. I'm exhausted. That's my concession.
We finally bought aluminum foil. 'Cause
We
we're gonna
did.
need that too,
We
right?
absolutely
Or-
are.
Or could you just have a lid? If you-
Well, I mean, if you have a lid, that's awesome. But usually aluminum foil is really, really
Cause you
good.
want it to kind of bake in
Yeah,
there.
you do,
and,
yeah. So now we've got, we're gonna slip this into our oven at 350,
Covered.
covered for
Yeah.
sure. So I'm gonna get you to go ahead and cover
And
it.
parsley and the cheese we're gonna save for the last. step.
Yeah, so that's the last step. So the parsley won't even be cooked. It'll be at the very last
Yeah,
step.
just sprinkle on top.
Yeah,
I just
so-
wanna add some color. and
That's
it's gonna be
okay.
Pretty, like.
Of course,
you know,
yeah, if you wanna,
golden.
yeah, of course. I think it's great that you wanna add color. I'm for that. So that's it.
So we won't even be able to show that.
We
part.
won't be able to show this. This is why I wanted to do it in advance, but then I understand that we would then not be able to show you a lot of techniques if we already had cooked one of these. So we're gonna go ahead now. Carl, you wanna show them the last final before we
Yeah,
put
I
on
think
the
get a good
stuff
shot
there?
right here.
Get a good shot.
That's got some heft to it, eh? Okay. And all I smell is garlic. It's great.
That's his favorite thing to smell, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's done. So now we're gonna cover that up.
Yep.
Here we go.
We're in the home stretch,
We
eh?
are in the home stretch now.
This isn't- It wasn't as tricky as I thought. A lot of, cutting
Yeah.
potato ready work. But pretty simple dish, eh?
It is a fairly simple dish, to be honest with you. It's a fairly simple dish and a fairly straightforward dish. It's just a lot of
Sometimes
handiwork.
simple is the best,
Yeah,
Classic recipe.
classic recipe,
And you can
simple.
just add your own twist, like, a different kind of cheese or,
Yeah.
onions or no onions or however you like it.
However you like it, and that's the thing, with dauphinoise, we wanted to keep it fairly traditional, so we didn't add the onions, but if you are doing a traditional scallop, like Shanaz was suggesting, then you go ahead and you add the onions, you add the cream and the milk, and the Tex-Mex, which we will not be adding today.
One day.
One day,
You can also, instead of onions, you can also use a leek.
oh, lovely, that's such a good idea.
Chopped maybe into 1/4-inch slices across.
Okay,
And you don't need to do the 3 layers of potato, just do a layer of potato, a layer of leek, a layer of potato.
Interesting.
that sounds really good.
It is oniony without the sharpness of the onion.
I love leeks, honestly, they're so delicious, and that's a great tip for me. I'm totally gonna try that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put this into the oven now.
We'll have
All
the
right.
first half.
So the timer's in there for 45 minutes. We are good to go.
Yeah.
And so now we wait, and we will film the end when we put in, so in the last about 25 minutes that it's in the oven, so it's about an hour 15 altogether. For the last 25 minutes that it's in the oven, what we're gonna do is put the cheese on the top, and we're just gonna let it bake. So
Yeah.
we're gonna let the cheese bubble. Right now, what's really important is that if you open up your gratin or your dauphinoise, and you feel it with, I would use a toothpick if you've got it, one of those really long ones. If you don't have a long toothpick, you can use your fork. If the potato isn't completely cooked, leave it in there to cook a little bit longer, because you don't want to gratin something when it's hard potatoes. It's not as nice, it's not as tasty. So really let those potatoes cook. Make sure they're fully cooked, because everybody's oven is different, right? Our oven sometimes cooks hotter or colder